Ever dreamed of quitting your 9 to 5, being your own boss, and sharing your passion for food with the world from your very own food truck? It's a powerful picture, isn't it? The open road, the glowing lights, the sizzle of food on the grill, and a line of happy customers, all while you're the one calling the shots. It's like the new American dream, wrapped in a tortilla or served on a brioche bun. It's a vision of freedom, creativity, and financial independence, sold one meal at a time. And the appeal is undeniable. You see them at festivals, on busy city corners, and all over your social media feed. Entrepreneurs who look like they're living their best life, seemingly printing money with every smash burger and gourmet taco they sell. The story is intoxicating. Lower overhead than a brick and mortar restaurant, the freedom to go where the customers are, and the chance to build a beloved brand from the ground up. But what if I told you that this dream can start with a $250,000 price tag? What if I told you that after selling tens of thousands of dollars worth of food in a month, the owner might only take home a few $1,000s? And that this massive investment often boils down to a profit of just a couple of dollars per taco? What if the biggest threat to this whole business isn't another food truck, but a bad weather forecast? That idyllic image of freedom and fortune is real for some, but for many, it can be a mirage. Behind every success story are trucks that vanished before they really got going, crushed by the immense and often invisible weight of the real economics at play. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to follow the money, from the massive initial investment to the price of a single meal. This is the hidden math behind what it actually takes to run a successful food truck. First things first, let's bust the biggest myth out there. Starting a food truck is not a cheap and easy way into the food business. People see a truck and think it's just a vehicle. Buy a used van, throw a grill in the back, and you're good to go. The reality? The truck itself is just the tip of a very, very expensive iceberg. The total startup cost for a food truck in the US can range anywhere from $50,000 on the absolute bare bones end to well over $200,000 for a new, custom-built rig. In fact, some high-end builds in major cities can even top $250,000. Most successful launches land somewhere in the $100,000 to $150,000 range, and here's why that number gets so big so fast. Let's start with the truck itself. A brand new, professionally fabricated food truck can set you back $75,000 to $200,000. These come with the peace of mind of being built to code, with warranties on both the kitchen and the vehicle. It's the less risky, but far more expensive path. More often, new entrepreneurs go for a used food truck, which can run anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000. But used can be a dangerous word. You might save money up front, but you could be inheriting a world of problems. Does the engine have issues? Is the equipment about to die? And most importantly, will it pass your local health and fire inspections? Many first-timers buy a used truck thinking they got a deal, only to sink an extra 10 or 20 grand just to get it legal and running. But finding the shell is the easy part. The real cost is in the build-out, turning it into a professional, mobile kitchen. Think about a restaurant kitchen. You need griddles, fryers, ovens, multi-compartment sinks for washing, rinsing, and sanitizing, commercial-grade refrigerators, and stainless steel prep surfaces. Outfitting a truck from scratch with this gear can cost between $10,000 and $50,000. And hidden in that build-out is one of the most crucial and expensive parts many newcomers forget: the fire suppression system. If you're cooking with grease, and if you have a grill or fryer, you are legally required to have a commercial ventilation hood and an integrated, automated fire suppression system. This isn't just a fire extinguisher on the wall. It's a complex network of nozzles designed to automatically douse a fire before it destroys your entire investment. This system alone can cost you thousands. Once the truck is ready, you can't just start selling. Now you enter the paperwork empire. This is where the dream of being a freewheeling entrepreneur meets the hard reality of bureaucracy. To operate legally, you need a whole stack of permits and licenses. You'll need a business license, an employer identification number from the IRS, a seller's permit to handle sales tax, and food handler certifications for you and your staff. But the big one is the Mobile Food Facility Health Permit. This means a detailed inspection of your truck to ensure it meets dozens of specific codes, from the temperature of your water heater to the type of faucets on your sinks. Then the fire department inspects your suppression system. All told, permits and licenses can run into the thousands in the first year alone. One source notes it can take obtaining at least 6 different permits and over 30 business days just to get through all the regulatory steps. And we're still not done. Your truck has to look the part. A professional vehicle wrap with your logo is your rolling billboard, and that can cost anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000. You need a point of sale system for orders and credit cards. You need to buy your initial inventory of food and paper goods, which can be a $1,000 to $2,000 expense before you make a single sale. Finally, and maybe most importantly, you need working capital, a cash buffer to survive the first few months before your revenue is stable. Experts often say one of the biggest mistakes new owners make is underestimating this, and you really need at least $5,000 to $20,000 set aside. When you add it all up, the truck, the build-out, the paperwork, the branding, the inventory, and the cash buffer, that $250,000 figure doesn't seem so crazy anymore. You're not just buying a truck, you're launching a full-fledged, heavily regulated, capital-intensive business. So, you've made it through the startup phase. You've poured your life savings and maybe a big loan into getting your truck on the road. Now, the real work begins. The myth is that you just drive to a good spot, open the window, and cash rolls in. The reality is a grueling 14 to 16-hour day where you are constantly hemorrhaging money. To really get the profitability of a food truck, you have to follow the money through a typical day because the expenses just don't stop. The day doesn't start at the lunch spot. For most owners, it starts around 5 or 6 a.m. at a place most customers have never heard of, the commissary. In many, if not most, major cities, health codes forbid you from prepping food in your home kitchen. You're often legally required to operate out of a licensed commercial kitchen known as a commissary. This is your home base. It's where you do your food prep, store your inventory, fill your fresh water tanks, and legally dump your wastewater and grease. And for this, you pay rent. Commissary fees can range wildly, from a few $100s in smaller markets to $1,500 a month or more in high-cost cities. The dream of escaping rent is often the first one to go, killed by the commissary bill. After hours of prep, you drive your truck to your spot for the day. Here comes another big cost: fuel. You're not just paying for gas or diesel to move a heavy commercial vehicle. You're also paying to run a power-hungry generator for hours on end to keep your lights and refrigerators running. Combined, fuel for the truck and generator can easily cost $500 to $1,000 a month. Now let's talk about the big two, the expenses that will make or break you: food costs and labor costs. Together, they can easily eat up more than half of your total sales. Food cost, or cost of goods sold, is the price of every ingredient you sell, plus the paper plates and forks you serve it on. The industry standard is to keep food costs between 28% and 35% of your revenue. For every dollar you make, about 30 cents immediately goes back out the door to pay for the food. This demands ruthless efficiency. You have to be a master of portion control and waste reduction. A little extra cheese on a few dozen orders or a case of lettuce that wilts isn't a small mistake. It's a direct hit to your already thin profit margin. Then there's labor. Even if you're working the truck yourself, your time has value. But if you have even one employee, this becomes a huge expense. Let's say you pay an employee $18 an hour. After you add employer-side payroll taxes and workers' comp insurance, your actual cost for that employee is closer to $22 an hour. And in some high-wage states, it can be even higher. For a business that might only have a truly busy, money-making window of 90 minutes during a lunch rush, that labor cost is ticking up for hours of prep and cleanup. It's not uncommon for labor to eat up 25 to 30% of your total revenue. But the costs don't stop there. You've got insurance, a specialized policy covering the vehicle, general liability in case someone gets sick, and property for your expensive equipment, which can easily be $200 to $600 a month. Then there's maintenance. Commercial vehicles and kitchen equipment get used hard and they break. You have to budget for oil changes, new tires, and the inevitable day your generator gives out. Many owners set aside $200 to $600 a month just for repairs. And finally, you have to pay to be where the customers are. Parking isn't always free. Getting a spot at a popular festival can cost thousands of dollars for a single weekend. Every dollar you bring in has already been claimed multiple times over by the commissary, the gas station, your food supplier, your employees, the insurance company, and the event organizer. The daily grind is a relentless battle to earn enough to feed all of these mouths before you can even think about feeding yourself. We've just walked through the mountain of costs it takes to even open your service window. It's a lot, and it probably has you wondering, is it even possible to make money? How much is actually left at the end of the month? We're about to break down the profit puzzle from $30,000 in sales all the way down to the final paycheck. If you're finding this breakdown valuable and want more deep dives into how businesses really work, take a second to subscribe and hit that like button. It really helps us keep making content just like this. This is where the economics get really interesting and, frankly, pretty sobering. You see a food truck with a long line, and you hear that a popular truck in a big city can pull in $20,000 to $50,000 in monthly revenue. The immediate thought is, the owner must be loaded. But revenue is not profit. This is the great myth of the food truck business. The best way to think of a food truck is like a leaky bucket. Money pours in the top as revenue, but it's leaking out from dozens of holes at the bottom as costs. Your profit is whatever is left in the bucket at the end of the month. Let's do the math with a realistic example. Let's say a successful truck, the Golden Taco, has a great month and brings in $30,000 in total sales. That's a fantastic number, averaging $1,000 a day. The owner feels busy, the customers are happy, and the revenue looks great. Now let's start plugging the leaks. First, the big one, cost of goods sold. We'll use a very efficient 30%. 30% of $30,000 is $9,000. Right off the top, $9,000 is gone, paid to suppliers for tortillas, meat, and produce. Our remaining pot is $21,000. Next up, labor. The Golden Taco has 2 part-time employees, and the owner pays themselves a modest salary. Using an industry average of about 27% of revenue for labor, that's another $8,100 gone. Our running total is now down to $12,900, but we have to pay for everything else, what are often called operating costs. This is the leaky bucket at its worst. Let's list them out based on monthly averages. There's commissary rent, a mid-range figure of $1,000. Fuel and propane for the truck and generator, let's say $800. Insurance, a combined policy running $400. A maintenance fund, where the owner is smart and sets aside $400 for future repairs. Permit renewals and fees, prorated over the year, another $200. Marketing and advertising, a small budget for social media, say $300. And point of sale and credit card fees, this is a big one. Most card processors charge fees that can result in an effective rate of around 3%. On $30,000 in sales, this can easily be $900 or more. Add those up, $1,000 plus $800 plus $400 plus $400 plus $200 plus $300 plus $900 equals $4,000. So from our $12,900, we subtract another $4,000. We are now left with $8,900. But wait, we forgot one of the biggest expenses, the truck itself. Unless the owner paid in cash, there's a loan payment. A $100,000 loan over 5 years can easily be a $2,000 monthly payment. So from our $8,900, we subtract $2,000. That leaves us with $6,900. Let's tally the total costs. $9,000 for food, plus $8,100 for labor, plus $4,000 for operating costs, plus $2,000 for the truck loan equals $23,100. The total revenue was $30,000. The total costs were $23,100. The pre-tax profit for the month is $6,900. From that $6,900, the owner still has to pay self-employment and income taxes, and whatever is left after that has to cover the slow months. What happens in February when it's cold and raining and sales drop? The fixed costs, the commissary, the insurance, the truck payment, they don't go away. A few bad months can wipe out the profits from an entire summer. This is the reality of profit margins. The average net profit margin for a food truck usually hovers between 6% and 9%. Some exceptional operators might hit 15%, but many struggle. On that $30,000 of revenue, a 9% profit margin is just $2,700 in take home pay. All that work, all that risk for a profit that might be less than what an employee earned. This is why many sources say it can take a solid 12 to 24 months, sometimes longer, just to break even and pay back that initial startup investment. The puzzle isn't about generating huge sales. It's about meticulously managing every single cost to keep a small percentage for yourself. We've looked at the big picture, the tens of thousands of dollars flowing in and out every month. Now, let's zoom in. Let's go micro and answer the question every customer has wondered. Why does this taco cost $5? It's just a tortilla and some filling. The price of that taco isn't just based on its ingredients. It's a carefully calculated number that has to help pay for every single cost we've just discussed. Let's build a hypothetical $5 taco. First, the direct food cost. The cost of goods sold. The tortilla, maybe 15 cents. The seasoned ground beef, let's say 40 cents for a good portion. The onion and cilantro, 5 cents. A lime wedge and a little container of salsa, 15 cents. And the paper tray it's served on, 5 cents. The total direct cost of the ingredients and packaging is 80 cents. Next, we allocate the labor cost. If an employee has a fully burdened cost of $22 per hour, and they can make and serve, say, 44 tacos in that hour, then the labor cost per taco is 50 cents. That's $22 divided by 44. Our running total cost is now 80 cents plus 50 cents, which equals $1.30. Now for the killer, the overhead. Every single other cost, the truck loan, commissary rent, insurance, fuel, permits, marketing, maintenance, has to be paid for by the tacos you sell. Let's use our monthly costs from before. Our total non-food, non-labor costs were the $4,000 in operating expenses plus the $2,000 truck loan, for a total of $6,000 in overhead per month. If the Golden Taco sells, on average, 200 tacos per day for 25 days a month, that's 5,000 tacos sold. To figure out the overhead cost per taco, you divide the total overhead by the number of tacos. $6,000 divided by 5,000 tacos equals $1.20 per taco. This single cost is higher than the cost of the actual food. So the total cost to produce one taco is now 80 cents for food, plus 50 cents for labor, plus $1.20 for overhead, which equals $2.50. But wait, the customer pays with a credit card. The transaction fee on a $5 sale is about 3%, which is another 15 cents. The true cost to produce and sell that single taco is now $2.65. Finally, the owner needs to make a profit. If they price the taco at $5, their profit is $5 minus the $2.65 cost, which equals $2.35. That might seem high, but remember that profit has to pay back the initial startup investment, cover the owner's salary, and provide a buffer for disasters. A broken generator costing $1,000 to replace requires the profit from over 1,200 tacos just to cover it. Suddenly, that $5 price tag doesn't seem so arbitrary. It's a tiny version of the entire business model. The customer isn't just paying for a tortilla and meat. They're paying for a fraction of the truck's engine, a piece of the owner's insurance policy, a few minutes of the commissary's rent, and a tiny drop of the gasoline in the generator. That is the true anatomy of a food truck taco. So after this deep dive into the numbers, what have we learned? We've seen that the food truck dream starts not just with a passion for food, but with a massive capital investment that can easily climb into the six figures. We've followed the daily grind and watched as every dollar of revenue is relentlessly attacked by the costs of food, labor, rent, and a dozen other expenses. We've unraveled the profit puzzle and seen how a truck generating tens of thousands in sales can leave its owner with surprisingly little, with typical net profit margins hovering between 6% and 9%. And we've dissected a single $5 taco to find that most of its price is made up of invisible costs that have nothing to do with the food itself. The key takeaway is this: a food truck isn't really a restaurant on wheels. It's a complex, mobile logistics business that just happens to serve amazing food. Success is rarely decided by who has the best tasting food. It's determined by who is the most ruthless master of spreadsheets, the most disciplined manager of costs, and the most strategic planner of logistics. It's a business where you fight for every single percentage point of profit. But this isn't meant to discourage the dream. It's meant to arm it with reality. For those who understand the numbers, who plan meticulously, and who treat it like the serious business it is, success is absolutely achievable. It's about knowing that you're not just selling food, you're selling a product whose price must account for everything from engine maintenance to credit card fees. The food truck dream is alive and well, but it's not built on passion alone. It's built on a solid foundation of economic understanding. And now, you have the blueprint. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the food truck industry, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the economics of the businesses all around us. And let us know in the comments, what industry should we break down next? Thanks for watching.